Terry Ann to please run the COVID video, if you would, please.
Hi, baby.
COVID-19, this meeting will be conducted as a Zoom meeting pursuant to the provisions of the Governor's Executive Order N-2920, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act. This meeting is being live streamed on the CCTA website. The chair will call upon members, staff, and other speakers by name. Please speak clearly and state your name before giving comments or remarks. Persons participating via Zoom with their cameras enabled are reminded that their activities are visible to viewers. Members participating by Zoom wishing to speak should physically raise their hand and unmute their mic when called upon. Members should remute their mics when done speaking. Citizens participating by Zoom wishing to speak should use the raise hand feature or dial *9 if participating via phone, and the chair or staff will call upon them at the appropriate time. Citizens will have 3 minutes to speak. A 30-second warning will be provided. After 3 minutes, staff will lower their hand and mute. Participants via phone will be called upon by the last 4 digits of their phone number. It is requested that public speakers state their names and organization, but providing such information is voluntary. Written public comments received in accordance with the COVID-19 special notice for public comment guidelines are printed on the meeting agenda. If authors of the written correspondence would like to speak, they should raise their hand and the chair will call upon them at the appropriate time. All written correspondence received after that and during the meeting will be entered into the record. A roll call vote will be taken for all action items. Thank you for participating in a meeting of the Contra Costa Transportation Authority.
Thank you, Terry Ann. I do love that video. I think that helps us so much. We copied MTC and several of our agencies have done similar ones. So I think those are wonderful. Terry Ann will now call the roll.
Commissioner Arnrich.
Here.
Commissioner Butt.
Here.
Commissioner Glover.
Here.
Commissioner Haskew.
Here.
Commissioner Hudson. Commissioner Hudson. There he is. I see him waving.
Yep.
Commissioner Kelly.
Here.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Here.
Commissioner Romick.
Here.
Commissioner Taylor.
Here.
Vice Chair Geringer.
Here.
Chair Pierce.
Here.
Representative Allen.
Here.
Representative Wilson.
Here.
Representative Worth.
Here.
Yeah, everyone is present. I also want to note that Representative Alternate Marine Powers is also on the call.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Welcome, Maureen.
Thank you.
Wow. It's great to have us all here. Thank you. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be read by Newell Arnrich. And because of background noise, we're asking everyone to mute their own mics during this Pledge of Allegiance. Newell?
Will you please place your hand over your heart, your right hand, and repeat after me quietly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, too.
Thank you, Newell. And the next item on our agenda is public comment. Terry Ann, have we received any public comment on items not listed on this evening's agenda? You're muted.
We have not received any public comment, and I don't see any hand raised in here as well.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the next item on the agenda is the election of chair and vice chair for 2021 with an effective date of December 1st, 2020. So do I have any nominations for chair and vice chair? The normal rotation.
I have a nomination, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
I
Tom.
have a nomination. I would like to nominate Teresa Geringer for chair and Chris Kelly for vice chair.
All right. Are there any other nominations?
I will
If
second
not, I'll
that.
second that.
Okay, I'm going to give the second to Romick. some of us are short timers, so we'll take advantage. All right. With that, is there anyone in the public that would like to speak on this nomination? If so, please raise your hand.
No public comment.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Terry Ann, would you please call the roll and announce the outcome?
Commissioner Arnrich,
Yes.
Commissioner Butt,
Yes.
Commissioner Glover,
Yes.
Commissioner Haskew,
Yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchoff,
Yes.
Commissioner Romick,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Geringer,
Yes.
Chair Pierce.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Nominating Geringer as chair and Kelly as vice chair starting December 1st, 2020.
Very good. All right. So the next item on the agenda, I'm going to hand over to Randy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Randy Wasaki, Executive Director, doing what I'd like to do and give commendations. And I'm going to read a commendation that we have for Chair Pierce. And it says, Julie Pierce, for dedicated service to the authority as chair from February 2020 through November 2020. It doesn't sound quite right.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah,
Our
yeah,
normal
yeah.
rotation is in February.
That's right. Sorry. Yeah, right. Thank you for, again, having my back. I appreciate that. I was just testing.
Anytime, Randy, anytime.
Julie Pierce has led the authority with enthusiasm, professionalism, and perseverance for the past 26 years. Most recently as chair, she has contributed to an extraordinary year for the agency, which included the implementation of a successful transition to a remote office telework for all authority staff and a virtual platform and automated agenda workflow for authorities' open public meetings in response to COVID-19. Launched the opening of the high occupancy vehicle lane on southbound Interstate 680 an entire year ahead of schedule. Acceptance of a Caltrans Sustainable Communities Transportation Planning Grant to develop a groundbreaking vehicle miles traveled mitigation program framework for Contra Costa County. Presided over the 6th annual Redefining Mobility Summit, developed a partnership with the Minnesota Department of Transportation, and received several honors such as the International Partnering Institute Award for the State Route 4 Balfour Interchange Improvements Project, the Government Finance Officers Association Award for Excellence in Financial Reporting, and an Outstanding Transportation Project Award from the American Society of Civil Engineers Region 9 in recognition of the State Route 4 Balfour Interchange Improvements Project. It is with gratitude that we recognize Julie Pierce's leadership on the authority board, selfless service, and steadfast commitment to the delivery of Contra Costa's programs and projects. Presented with appreciation, November 18th, 2020. So thank you from staff. We really appreciate working with you.
Thank you, Randy. That's really wonderful. I'm just going to make one minor correction to that. It's actually been 28 years because even though I came on as the official delegate from Transpac in 93, I finished the term of Byron Campbell after he left. So I actually started.
There's some history there.
There's a little infamy, an infamy.
In order to keep our record of 88% paper reduction, we're not going to reprint this.
That's fine. You can just
we
write
also
it in.
have-
Okay. Ooh.
We have this piece of glass. I'm not supposed to drop it either. But I'm reading
Wow.
backwards. It says a legacy of selfless service, Julie Pierce.
Thank you.
So
Thank
this
you
will,
so much. That is just beautiful.
You
Thank
misspelled
you.
Contra Costa.
we spelled it right, sir, Commissioner Hudson.
It
Thank
comes
you.
out looking correct on our end, Randy. Thank
Great,
you.
great. Congratulations.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. so the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Is there anyone in the public that has any additions or corrections to the minutes? I don't see anyone from the public raising their hand. Do
Move
you?
approval.
No public
Okay.
comment.
I have a motion by Hudson and a second by,
Romick.
okay, thank you, Kevin. And Terry Ann, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Arnrich,
Yes.
Commissioner Butt,
Yes.
Commissioner Glover,
Yes.
Commissioner Haskew,
Yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Romick,
You're mute, Kevin.
Commissioner Romick.
Oh, I thought, yes, I thought I had it on.
Thank you. Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Geringer,
Yes.
Chair Pierce.
Yes,
Motion passes unanimously.
thank you very much.
Welcome.
So we will go on to the regular agenda items, and we'll start with the reports from the Admin and Projects Committee.
Chair Pierce.
Yes.
Can we do the consent calendar first?
Oh, that's right. We did the minutes. Why would I not remember that? You'd think I'd know that by now.
You're
Okay.
new.
It's a big agenda.
I know it is. I know it is. So consent calendar, any additions, corrections, or comments before we entertain a motion? I see no hands
Move
raised.
consent.
Okay, Hudson moves.
No comment, Hudson.
Second, Geringer.
Second by Geringer. Okay, Terry Ann, call the roll again.
Commissioner Arnrich,
Yes.
Commissioner Butt,
Yes.
Commissioner Glover,
Yes.
Commissioner Haskew,
Yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Romick,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Geringer,
Yes.
Chair Pierce.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, now we can go to the regular agenda items. And that is item 10A, the development of a financing plan for the authority's 2018A bonds. And Brian, this one is yours.
Good evening, Chair Pierce and Commissioners. I'm going to share my screen with you for a minute, and we're going to do a PowerPoint to go through it. Great. So tonight on tonight's agenda, we're going to do a plan to refinance the 2018 bonds. So I am Brian Kelleher, the Chief Financial Officer for the Authority, and with me tonight is Melissa Schick from K&N Public Finance. They were the ones who helped us in 2018. And so when we issued the bonds in 2018, we issued the Authority's outstanding 2018 bonds were issued with a floating rate note. If you recall, going back many years, we had a $400 million floating rate note bond. We have, over time, we have reduced it down to $100 million in 2018. So the interest rate mode on the 2018 bonds must be reset before September 1st, 2021. So we're going to be getting a head start here in the next few months to work with underwriters and create a financing plan, meet with them, and come back with some alternatives. I do want to let you know that the number one goal is to look for any kind of savings that we may have. We're not going to look just at refinancing the floating rate debt. We will look at some of our fixed rate debt as well, just like you would in with a mortgage on a home. If there's a potential to have some savings, if there's some potential on the floating rate notes that we can remove a little bit of risk, we'll do our best, and we'll be back in front of the board in the springtime, and we'll go over the plan as we go through this. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for approval to move forward and start working with the underwriters, get some bids on some fees, get some ideas, and start working down the process. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Melissa Schick, and she can go through and talk about the bonds that we have and go through the process, what we're going to work on here in the next month or two.
Thanks, Brian, and good evening. And it's a pleasure to be with you all this evening. So let's get into the nitty gritty. So the 2018 A bonds, I think it's important to note, not only do they reset next year, but they are linked or tied to the authority's interest rate swap. So each are in the amount of 100 million, and the 2018 bonds pays a variable rate of interest, and the interest rate swap hedges that variable rate of interest. Each of the bonds and the swap are linked to the LIBOR index. So taken together, as we approach the plan of finance next year for the 2018 bonds, we will be closely evaluating and considering your outstanding swap. And then we will be closely evaluating and considering the LIBOR index and the transition from the LIBOR index to a new market standard. So a lot of boxes and arrows here, but it's mostly to say and highlight that decisions on just the bonds are really integral to kind of some of the overall debt portfolio aspects of the authority. So plan of finance objective is first and foremost to reset the interest rate on the 2018 bonds prior to the reset date of September of next year. In doing cost borrowing alternative for those bonds. Also address the variable interest rate mode on the bonds. Currently that mode is linked to LIBOR, and LIBOR is set to transition out by the end of next year. And then taken together, the objective is to limit the mismatch between the variable interest rate on the bonds and the variable hedge on the swap. As Brian mentioned in his introduction, we also will take the opportunity when we're in the market to evaluate other opportunities that may offer value to the authority's outstanding debt portfolio. You have outstanding fixed rate bond series that could be refunded in a very current low interest cost environment. That refunding would be deemed as an advance refunding. We would take out outstanding bond series with new debt ahead of the call date. And that would be on a taxable basis. But given the low level of taxable rates, that structure is currently generating savings. The other objective would be to reduce the interest rate swap risk, and that would be by evaluating either a full or partial termination of the swap. And if that opportunity was there, a portion of the existing floating rate bonds would be fixed out. So alternatives for the 2018 bonds, they vary, some of which are higher in cost, some of which are lower in cost. And this market is moving given some of the uncertainty around the LIBOR transition, and then also just bank demand for direct purchase and letter of credit type products. All of the different products out there available in the refinancing of the bonds will be carefully evaluated and brought forth back to this board in terms of a recommendation. Other considerations as we look at alternatives would be the term of the refinancing of the 2018 bonds, as we mentioned before, looking at the swap, and then any related risks regarding the new structure. So market factors in the plan of finance development, one will be the LIBOR transition next year. Floating rate bonds and notes have traditionally been linked to LIBOR. They also have been linked to a tax-exempt index, which could be a possibility for the product that we move into for these bonds. But taken together, the idea is to evaluate the LIBOR transition, the floating index as it relates also to the swap and potential changes on the swap related to LIBOR and that floating receipt that the authority receives from the swap. The other market factor between now and when we'll come back to you with a firmer plan of finance and recommendations is just the short-term market, taxable long-term fixed rates and potential advance refunding opportunities, and then also the bond swap relationship and the cost of potentially terminating the swap. Currently, the valuation of the swap is in favor of the counterparty by $32 million. So if the authority were to take the swap out today, it would have to issue new bonds to terminate $32 million of swap cost. But that cost we will closely watch and monitor, and really the overall objective is to terminate some portion of the swap when we come back to you next year. So just a couple points of follow-up. We were fortunate enough to speak with APC before presenting to you this evening. Just a quick overview. I've mentioned LIBOR, and the index on the current bond will be phased out next year. The deemed replacement is the SOFR index, secured overnight financing rate. And the SOFR rates began resetting in April of 2018. The US market has largely adopted this rate as the replacement to LIBOR, but it's actually the municipal market, the market in which the authority issues its debt, that's kind of yet to coalesce around the integration of this index into the municipal market. So that integration is something that we'll be carefully following and watching when we come back to the board with potential alternatives for the bonds. The current SOFR rate is 9 basis points, 5 basis points lower than 1-month LIBOR. So short-term rates are incredibly low, and SOFR has generally tracked just slightly lower than LIBOR. And then another discussion with APC that we had was specific to the swap. And we know and understand the desire to terminate some or all of that outstanding amount. And, you know, this is just to emphasize that while there's a cost associated today with terminating the swap, that isn't to say the conclusion today is to set it aside and move forward. And it will be a key focus of the plan of finance development next year.
Thank you, Melissa. Again, I would like to just say our next steps are going to be the evaluation period between now and January. In February to April, we'll be looking at analysis and alternatives for the plans for the fixed rate notes to figure out the best possible outcome for CCTA. And again, my goal is to look for savings, to find a sound financial plan. As we have to remarket these every few years, there's a cost associated with it. The longer we can go out, obviously the interest rates go up. We'll be doing our best to find the best plan for CCTA and return in April. And our targeted time to close is about July. So with that, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them with Melissa's help, of course.
Thank you, Brian. So questions, comments from the board? Newell.
I just comment, outstanding presentation. It was great to hash through this at APC. And Melissa, your team, and Brian, you guys are rock stars on this. With our credit rating and unbelievably low rates, even though they're might be in the taxable arena, looking forward to what you come back with and see how the market goes. But I'd be willing to move this as presented.
Yes, second.
Okay, I have a motion from Arnerich, a second from Hudson. Do we have any public comment?
No, we don't have any public comment.
Okay, any other comments from the board? I don't see any. With that, Terry Ann, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Arnrich,
Yes.
Commissioner Butt,
Yes.
Commissioner Glover,
Yes.
Commissioner Haskew,
Yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchoff,
Yes.
Commissioner Romick,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Geringer,
Yes.
Chair Pierce.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Terry Ann.
You're welcome.
So the next three items are all related to the Bollinger Canyon Road, Iron Horse Trail, bicycle and pedestrian overcrossing. The first one is an information item. The second two we need to take votes on. So I'm going to turn this over to Ivan for the presentation. This was really fascinating when we saw it at APC.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Ivan Ramirez, Director of Construction for the Authority. Before I begin, I want to make sure that you can hear me and also you can see the slideshow.
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So yeah, this is a part of our ongoing updating of the board of the Bollinger Canyon overcrossing in the city of San Ramon. As some of the board members may remember, we do have an agreement with the city of San Ramon where we're going to be the implementing agency for their iconic bridge at the city entrance. This is a project that is going to cost $21 million. And the unique thing about this project is that the CMGC, or construction manager, general contractor, project delivery method was adopted by the board for this project. So this is an overview of the project location. The far side is the north side, and the left to right road is Bollinger Canyon. Right on the right side, and on the other side of Bollinger Canyon, that's City Hall, the city of San Ramon. And one of the unique things about the project is that the trail doesn't really match as it crosses Bollinger Canyon. There is about a 30-foot horizontal difference, or this alignment difference, and that's going to be corrected as part of this project. And so far, we have gotten involved with the designer, COWI. That's a designer was selected back in May by the board, and they have advanced some ideas about how the project might look. And they have so far provided 4 alignments, where I'm going to talk about briefly here. The thing to note about this slide is that the blue is the actual structural bridge over Bollinger Canyon. The yellow lines on either side, those are the approaches as they begin at the elevation at grade and they rise up to the bridge elevation. And the green on either side is where the approaches taper down to the existing grade. This is a rendering of alignment A. There is a slight curve on this bridge. One of the things that are important as we develop this project is that there is a number of utilities along the Bollinger Canyon Road and also along the Iron Horse Trail. And the goal is to minimize the cost of either relocating the utilities by either avoiding them, and by doing that, by avoiding them, we also have to change the alignment of the bridge. So there's like little bit of a cost benefit analysis that needs to occur as to where the alignment of the bridge is going to be in relation of how much is it going to cost to move or relocate certain utilities. And it's important because during APC, a question was asked by, or comments were made by 3 board members where they said, well, isn't a curved bridge more expensive? And the answer is that, yeah, a curved bridge will be more expensive, but it also has its benefits, as you can see here, where this is a view at deck level from a pedestrian or a bicyclist going on the bridge. And you can see that there's a certain feel and aesthetics when there is a curve on the bridge. And so you have that additional cost of creating a curved bridge as opposed to moving certain utilities. There are some utilities that are going to be really expensive to move. So then the evaluation would be done with the CMDC when he is on board. Another interesting feature of these bridges, all of them, is that the approaches, the yellow lines and a few slides back, those are all being held back by retaining walls. And the reason for that is that retaining walls are cheaper than it would be to extend the structure. Having the structure extended, of course, allow better feel through underneath the bridge because the retaining walls will give a feel of a wall. But those things can be beautified to some extent, but that's a feature that we're looking into to minimize the cost of this bridge. This is alignment B, and this is pretty much a straight bridge. As you can see, alignment C is similar, other than while alignment B is perpendicular to Bollinger Canyon Road, this alignment C has a slight angle to perpendicular. But as you can see, this is a deck view similar to what I showed earlier, but this is a straight bridge. So certainly there's a difference in to the eye as to how this bridge will look from the deck. And this is alignment D, which is a combination of 2 curves to bridge this Bollinger Canyon, almost straight but not quiet. So it also creates a nice, pleasing view. So those are the renderings of the proposals from the designer. They have advanced the design as much as they can. And now it's time for us to welcome the CMDC. And as I will mention, or as I will bring to you in my next item, we went through a selection process and a joint venture of Shimmick Construction and Myers were selected. But going back a few months ago, you remember that we selected Tricertos to be the independent cost estimator. And we selected COE to be the designer. And at this point is where the collaboration will begin between COE and CMGC. Another thing to note here is that the CMGC has 2 roles in the project. For this phase, he acts as the construction manager, which is when he collaborates with the designer and the entire team to minimize cost and make construction more efficient. But at a certain point in the future, it will be determined whether they will become the general contractor. And that's a step that I will describe a little later. Another thing to point out here is that all along, as we move through this process, FHWA and Caltrans are very much involved in the process. They want to be in the know, they want to be in the room to make sure that we're following the CMDC process as has been, as we have agreed to during the project oversight agreement that we signed with them, and also the CMDC guidelines that we signed with them a few months back. So this is a description of where we are in the process. The 2 boxes on the left is where we are right now. We are procuring the CMDC contractor for pre-construction services. And we have prepared basically the 35 PSNE, the prime plan specification and estimate. So moving forward, we're going to have a kickoff and partnering workshop. That's where all the team members, everybody that has a stakeholder that has anything to say about the project is going to come in, and they're going to relay what the roles and responsibilities are on the project. And we're going to be in the initial phases of creating a high performance team. From there, we're going to have a risk workshop where we're going to identify risks. We're going to assign risk owners. We're going to mitigate certain risk, and we're going to mitigate certain risk and eliminate certain risks. And then we're going to prepare the cost model. That's with the independent cost estimator and the contractor begin talking about what assumptions are going to be made, how are they going to come up with the estimates so that communication begins early on and we don't have any issues later on when the costs need to be matched or reconciled. We also have to have an innovation register. This is again part of that process that FHWA and Caltrans are looking for. They want to make sure that we are tracking any ideas that are going to save time or money, and they also want to, excuse me, something happened on my screen here. And they're also going to, which ones we don't bring into the project, and we have to have that for them to review and for them to see what innovations we have actually implemented as part of CMGC. We're also going to review the 35% PS&E. And from there, we're going to move and start preparing the 65 PS&E. This is where a lot of collaboration and cooperation occurs between the designer and the CMGC. Once that 65% PS&E is completed, then we go back and update the risk register. We update the cost model. We also update the innovation register. And we review the 65 PS&E in detail. And from there, we move to prepare the 90 and 95 PS&E. After the 95 and 95 PS&E is completed, at that point, the CMGC comes and puts together a price proposal for what they think it's going to take to build the project, the actual physical work in the field. So the independent cost estimator creates its own cost estimate, and there's an engineer's estimate. A meeting is held to make sure that everybody's in agreement with what the price is going to be, and see if there can be, if there's any differences, if they can be brought closer together so a price can be reached. So if a price can be reached, then the price proposal becomes the agreed price. In other words, the price proposal is what the contractor agrees he's going to build the project for, and then the CM, the construction manager, becomes the general contractor, and construction can begin. If there is no price, if the price proposal is not acceptable, then the decision needs to be made whether there is enough room in there to come to an agreement. If the answer is yes, then there's discussions, there's assumptions are changed regarding the schedule, regarding the cost model, and any number of things that can be done to minimize costs or come together on cost. A new revised proposal is submitted, and again, it's reviewed. If that proposal is accepted, then the green part of the graph, which I described earlier, takes hold and it goes to construction. If the answer is no, then the decision needs to be made again whether the reconciliation is possible. If the answer is no at that time, then the pre-construction services contract is terminated. At that point, the CMGC or the construction manager is asked to leave. He can no longer have any involvement on the project. And then the procurement is changed to a design bid build. And this is the outcome that is less desired, because then it's kind of like you took all this information from the CMGC and now you're going to have to put it out to bidding. Another contractor is going to come in, and sure, there's going to be some benefits there because we went through this entire process, but it might not be as good having the original contractor that provided all this input to get a final design. So that's where some of the decisions that are going to be coming in the future, maybe a year from now when we're done with the design. And I just wanted to bring you up to date on where we are and where we are going. And with that, I am open to questions.
All right, any questions of Ivan on where we're headed? Then we have to start taking actions going down the road. So any questions of Ivan on the process? Did we get any comments from the public, Terrian?
No public comment has been received.
Okay.
Money's no object, Ivan. Go for it.
Easy for you to say, Dave. All right. So do you want to go ahead and get into then, Ivan, to item B2? That was the information item. Item B2 is the first action item.
Yes, in a quick comment for Commissioner Hudson, I know for a fact that's not the case because the city, I'm working with the city very closely and they're watching very closely. So
We could pick Julie's gone.
and I just want to say that it's been a pleasure working with the team members in the city, and everybody's very excited about the project. Yes, this is an action item, Madam Chair. In May of 2020, the authority authorized the release of request for qualifications number 20-3 for statement of qualifications for firms interested in providing pre-construction services. The RFQ was released in July 23rd of 2020, and 5 SOQs or statement of qualifications were received on September 4th, 2020. They were all the firms that submitted were qualified. They were Bridgeway Civil Constructors, Golden State Bridge and Contractors, Granite Construction Company, Myers and Sons Shimmick Joint Venture, and Wells Construction Company. So some of these construction companies are very well known and very well funded. So they were very qualified to do the work. After going through the selection process, there were 3 members on the panel. It was myself, it was a representative from the city of San Ramon, and also a third party from BEFA. We relied on their expertise. They've done a lot of CMGC over there. They helped us select the CMGC, and Myers and Sons was selected as the most qualified. And that was based on everything that was provided on the RFQ, but it was primarily based on experience in projects of similar size, scope, and complexity, record of completing contracts on time and within contract price. Myers is very well known for that, as some of you may know. Experience in developing and implementing innovative solutions. Shimmick did a great job over at the bridge in Long Beach, the one that just opened, which is also a cable stay bridge. They did some very innovative things there with footings. Experience in implementing complicated construction staging, traffic handling, and complying with environmental regulations, qualifications of key personnel, and project understanding and approach, including project safety. And again, I just would like to mention very briefly here that the city has been, we've been working hand in hand with them, and they have been part of this entire process, and they have agreed to everything that we have done. So with that, I'm open to questions.
Right, questions of Ivan on this item, and this item is to approve a agreement with Myers Shimmick in the amount of $350,000 to provide pre-construction services.
Hey, this is Romick. If there are no questions, I'll move the item.
Okay, I have a motion by Romick, a second by Arnrich. Are there any public comments, Terrian?
No public comment.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So with that, would you please call the roll on item B2?
Commissioner Arnrich,
Yes.
Commissioner Butt,
Yes.
Commissioner Glover, Commissioner Glover,
Yes.
Commissioner Haskew,
Yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Romick,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Geringer,
Yes.
Chair Pierce.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Terrian. We'll go next to the execution of a proposed fund exchange agreement with the City of San Ramon, and this will be presented by Hisham.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Speak up just a little bit.
Okay, thank you. My name is Hisham Noemi. I'm the Director of Programming at the Authority. I'm happy to present this item. Back in May, the Authority approved several actions to prepare us for COVID-19 impacts on our revenues. One of these actions was to continue delaying the issuance of call for projects for the remaining 2 cycles of Measure J, TLC, and PID bike programs. This action will ensure that we don't over-program our Measure J funds, given the potential future declines in our revenues. The board also directed staff to think about fund exchanges that will allow us to advance Measure J projects with other fund sources, which is the subject of this agenda item. In 2014, the authority programmed 9.2 million in STIP funds to advance the I-80 San Pablo Dam Road Interchange Project Phase 2. However, our repeated attempts to secure the $70 million needed to fully fund the project have unfortunately not been successful. Without having a new measure, we are unable to provide currently the needed local match for federal and state fund sources. And given this situation, the authority needs to either delay the programming year of the STIP funds beyond fiscal year 22 or deprogram the STIP funds altogether from the project. With that as a background, today we are asking you to approve a fund exchange agreement between the City of San Ramon and the authority, where we would program, we would reprogram the 9.2 million in STIP funds from the San Pablo Dam Road Phase 2 projects to the Iron Horse Trail overcrossing project that Ivan just presented. In return, the authority would keep an equal amount from the city's Measure J return to source funds over the next 9 years until that amount is fully paid back. The City of San Ramon was counting on future commitments of Measure J TLC funds to fully fund the Iron Horse Trail project. But since these funds are no longer certain because of COVID-19, the city agreed to use its future return to source funds to cover the funding shortfall on the project. The proposed fund exchange will ensure funding for the project is available in fiscal year 22 without requiring the city to take loans, issue bonds, or incur interest costs to advance their return to source funds. In return, the authority will keep the city's return to source funds over the next 9 years until an equal amount is paid back. The authority will set aside the retained funds in a reserve that can be used as a local match for projects like San Pablo Dam Road Phase 2 or others. There are several other benefits to the agreement that are listed in the staff report. Staff seeks authorization for the chair to execute agreement number 555 with the City of San Ramon and to allow the executive director to make non-substantive changes to the language. In addition, we are seeking your approval of Resolution 2030P, which is required to program the Iron Horse Trail project in the STIP. Finally, I would like to thank our executive director for coming up with the idea, which is beneficial to both the city and CCTA. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. And I'm pleased to say that the City Council at the City of San Ramon has already approved the agreement.
Wonderful. We're always good about this innovative financing you come up with, Hisham. This is really a good thing, and teamwork is what makes the whole county work. So questions of Hisham on this loan?
Gift.
I would move to accept the proposals presented. It's a good idea.
I'll second it.
You want me to flip?
Odd, seconding something for money that's coming to you. Yeah.
Right.
It's coming to me, all right.
Motion by Arnrich, second by Hudson. Terry Ann, do we have any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Do we have any other comments from commissioners?
There is a rumor that Morton's is going to build on the other side of that bridge.
Ooh, promises, promises. Okay. Terry Ann, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Arnrich,
Yes.
Commissioner Butt,
Yes.
Commissioner Glover, Commissioner Glover,
Yes.
Commissioner Haskew,
Yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Romick,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Geringer,
Yes.
Chair Pierce.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
I want an invite to the ribbon cutting, Dave.
Morton's or the bridge?
The bridge. I'd like to be there for the groundbreaking too, but you know, one thing at a time. Okay. So the next action item seeks authorization to execute a cooperative agreement with FTA for the Innovate 680 Automated Driving System grant funds. And Jack Hall, this is yours.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Jack Hall, and I'm the Intelligent Transportation Systems Connected Autonomous Vehicle Program Manager for CCTA. This evening, we are presenting our Automated Driving System project and seeking approval of our grant agreement with the Federal Transit Administration, who is administering the grant. At CCTA, we believe in the benefits of automation, and we need to give credit to Randy Iwasaki for being the driving force behind receiving the $7.5 million grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation. Safety is our #1 priority, and automated vehicles can potentially save lives and reduce injuries. 94% of serious crashes are due to human error. Connected and autonomous vehicles can help improve access and increase mobility to meet the needs of local communities. For those with a disability, the elderly, or no direct access to public transit, this could provide a more independent life. Also, with more connected and automated vehicles on the roads, the vehicles would communicate with each other as well as with vehicle-to-infrastructure systems to help increase driver efficiency, reduce congestion, and lower vehicle emissions. Our shared autonomous vehicle shuttles are all electric, reducing the carbon footprint. There are also economic and societal benefits. California had the second most fatal crashes in the US in 2018 with 3,602. US motor vehicle deaths topped 40,000 in 2017. The group estimates that the cost to society of motor vehicle crashes and injuries totaled $413.8 billion. Our proposed demonstration projects are based on actual needs and concerns that the community brought to our agency for innovative solutions to everyday challenges. The Rossmoor First Mile, Last Mile shared autonomous vehicle demonstration is based on a request from a committee of residents living in the Rossmoor Walnut Creek senior community to help increase transit accessibility for their transit-dependent residents. A meeting with doctors from the county hospital revealed that limited and restrictive transit options were creating obstacles to care for some of the most vulnerable patients. Project 1 is the Rossmoor First Mile, Last Mile shared autonomous vehicle project. The goal is to increase transit accessibility for the elderly and people with disabilities with shared autonomous vehicles connecting the community to jobs, services, and goods to maintain their quality of life. The project intends to solve first mile, last mile challenges by using level 3 and 4 vehicles to empower seniors by connecting the residents of Rossmoor to the greater Walnut Creek community and beyond through improved access to transit service providers. Rossmoor is an active senior living community with the average age of residents being 77 years old. While most residents are retired, some are still of pre-retirement age. About 12% are 64 years old or younger, and about 29% are 65 to 74 years old. The SAVs will enhance mobility within the Rossmoor community and between the city and everyday destinations throughout the region and solve transit accessibility and connectivity issues. We will be using fixed route SAV shuttle service that will provide increased transit accessibility and will gather data to develop safety performance measures. The fixed route service will have multiple stop locations along a predetermined path to load and unload passengers. Our human-machine interface will allow the user to identify desired stops, and we will be using Q-String automated securement and restraint systems for wheelchairs. Project 2 is the County Hospital Accessible Transportation Project in Martinez. We will provide on-demand autonomous vehicle shuttle service to transportation-challenged patients receiving care at the county hospital, thereby addressing the rise of appointment absenteeism by adding additional transportation options. Possible future expansion of service areas will include on-demand services in Concord, Pleasant Hill, and Walnut Creek. Project 3 is our personal mobility project on Interstate 680, proposed between the Bollinger Canyon Interchange and the Alcosta Boulevard Interchange. We're also looking to extend the limits to include the Crow Canyon Interchange. The goal of the project is to prepare a portion of the I-680 corridor for future connected autonomous vehicles. We will install new and upgraded vehicle-to-infrastructure and vehicle-to-vehicle 4 and 5G communications to accommodate this new technology. The idea that we are testing is to find out if we can get more throughput on the corridor using advanced technology. Some of the new automated driving system technologies we will be testing include high definition dynamic mapping and dynamic data describing high-risk areas, and will assist in paving the way for the automated vehicle solutions in the corridor. Collectively, our proposed demonstration projects will benefit the public by improving safety on our roads, reducing traffic congestion and accidents, reducing carbon dioxide emissions, and lowering fuel consumption. Our project will greatly improve transportation accessibility for transportation challenged communities, reduce travel time and transportation cost, and promote better health. With that, staff seeks authorization for the chair to execute cooperative agreement number 110.01 with the Federal Transit Administration in the amount of $7.5 million in automated driving system grant funds, and to allow the executive director or his designee to make any non-substantial changes to the language.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Wonderful, thank you. Questions from the board? Dave.
Yeah, Jack, are you, I'm assuming you have talked to Bishop Ranch about the city center plan or city walk. Have you talked about any other development in there that might be happening as far as setting up stops for this thing? Or their view on how they want to incorporate it in the development?
So with the approval of this grant, we're going to have our notice to proceed should come in January. And so we will really start on the planning. When we've got pre-planning going on right now, and we have left Bishop Ranch in the past. So we're now going back to Momentum Station and testing the vehicles there. And then we'll be coming back to Bishop Ranch as part of this Project 3. And then we'll work with the city and the Sunset Development to see where we can best utilize these vehicles.
Okay. I'm just talking about newer development. City Walk is, you've probably been dealing with that for a while, but they've got another project they're looking at and would love to see how it fits in there, because it's the eventual tie to what I assume Federal Realty is going to want to do eventually with Crow Canyon Commons, and it'll stretch all the way from Bollinger to Crow, since you brought it up in your decision.
Well, thank you for that input, and we'll definitely pursue that.
Yeah. Their development's going to be about half of Doherty Valley.
That's big.
What they're talking about now.
Okay, and when we talked about this at the admin committee, Newell suggested that we do need to stretch the boundaries of this to include Crow Canyon, so it's not just centered around Bollinger. So, and you're looking at that, is that right, Dave or Jack?
Yes, that's correct. We are looking to extend or maybe just shift the limits depending on how much funding we can acquire. But so we'll either go from Alcosta to Bollinger or to Crow Canyon, or maybe between Crow Canyon and Bollinger.
Well, if you can, because I know it's 10, 12 years ago that we did this. I don't know if Newell was part of this, but Danville and San Ramon came together for 3 bridges. Bollinger was just the first. Yeah, you were. It was just the first one. So if we're talking about doing something like this and it's successful, you're probably going to need to take a look at what you're going to do with Crow and Sycamore.
Right. I mean, if this pilot is successful, we want to implement it on the entire corridor. And it's a federal grant. So, I mean, we would actually like to deploy this nationwide. if it's successful. And that's what the FTA, that's what they're looking for.
Okay, so you'll report back to us as you go further and see how far you can stretch these dollars.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Great.
Federal, did you have a comment?
Yes, I was just wondering, how do we come to the decision of where we're going to do these different testings at? Are there anything that's been looked at outside of the San Ramon Valley?
Right, so this project is part of Innovate 680.
I understand that.
And we have looked at the Pittsburgh BART station. And so at Bailey Road.
Yes.
But that's one of our possible options. And also the new BART station at Civic Center, along with Pittsburgh High School. We've looked at routes there and running a route on Railroad Avenue and Harbor up to California Boulevard along School Street too.
Randy,
Okay.
go ahead, Federal.
So when you say that you looked at what, and you've come to a decision point, I'm just trying to understand what that all looks like.
Right, so that wasn't part of this grant proposal. That was more of a grant that was done with Pittsburgh Unified School District in the city.
Right.
But that was a shuttle project. And if the shuttles, if we can prove them to be reliable, this technology will spread throughout the county.
Thank you. Probably talk more offline.
Thanks, Federal. Randy?
Commissioner Glover, tomorrow morning, I think it's at 8:30, we're kicking off a workshop to look at deployment opportunities for technology in the east part of Contra Costa County. It's a partnership between the 4 cities in the county, as you requested, to knit together the northern waterfront with all those various new subdivisions that are going in East County to try to get people out of their car and into the BART extension once the transit ridership gets back. So it's perfect timing for us. So tomorrow morning, we'll kick a kind of a concept project off tomorrow for East County. So we're not just leaving out the eastern part of Contra Costa.
Thank you for that, Randy.
Okay, Newell.
Randy, wasn't this also, I think it's a good question, but why are we doing on 680 versus someplace else? This is sort of was an equity issue too, about trying to find project in the San Ramon Valley, because there's no pavement width left. We locally have paid for most of our projects, spent $1.4 billion in East County and elsewhere, mostly East County, that this was that one project to help, get the San Ramon Valley on board with our measure and all of those things. So it was all part of that. So it's the one project that we have.
Yeah, so it was to build upon Innovate 680 and prove that we can actually squeeze more efficiency out of a transportation system. You cut the accidents down, cars follow closer. And so it's a golden opportunity to test that, because as you know, Commissioner Arnerich, when you head northbound, you've got 6 choke points after you enter Contra Costa County. And so if we can get rid of those, you can get home to your children or your loved ones faster without widening the pavement. That has a couple benefits: 1, greenhouse gas reduction; 2, VMT reduction; and 3, congestion relief. And so it's a good test site. And plus, the city, both cities are they embrace new ideas. And so it's you don't have to convince this members of the town council and the city council. They're already bought in. And so it's really a good partnership down there to test Interstate 680, Innovate 680. And then, as Jack said, we had a subcommittee of Rossmoor came in when they heard that we were testing self-driving shuttles, and they said, well, we want in. Bring it to Rossmoor. And I said, do you have any money? And they said, no. I said, well, if we ever have a grant opportunity, we'll put you in. And likewise with the doctors from the county hospital, same thing. The access to the data, the access to where the patients live, all that information, we don't want it, but we want to know where we can provide transportation options to lower the absentee rate. And so we said, if we ever find a grant proposal, we would add that in. And that's how you got the 3 pilot projects. You got Innovate 680 and the connections there, because you've got some great park and ride lots that we can work and make them mobility hubs. And so we're excited about that whole process.
Yeah, and believe me, I'm not being a critic. I just want to understand so that when I'm speaking to other constituencies, I could explain it. I'm not being a critic. So.
Yeah, I know that. And because we've had a number of conversations about your love of technology as well, Supervisor. So that's not an issue. So we are going to roll things out. We're trying to provide it in all parts of the county. We did a smart corridor project on Interstate 80. That's shown some benefit, although 80 is getting more, well, now it's not bad, but it's getting back to the peak that it used to have. But that was a $95 million investment in Interstate 80. And now we've gone widened 24 or 4. So we're trying to figure out, okay, how do, with all these new subdivisions, the Amazon distribution center, you want to redevelop the northern waterfront, how are you going to move all those people in and out of East County without widening every single road that you have in that area? So it's going to have to be technology. It's going to have to be transit or a transit connector. So we're really focused in on trying to provide a good service to all 4 corners of the county.
Okay, other comments, questions? I don't see anybody waving at me. So on this one, we need a motion and a second. Oh, is there any public comment, Terry Ann?
No public comment.
Thank you. So
If there are no questions, move approval, Romick.
Second, Haskew.
Second, Haskew.
Romick moves, Haskew seconds. Terry Ann, please call a roll.
Commissioner Arnrich,
Yes.
Commissioner Butt,
Yes.
Commissioner Glover,
Yes.
Commissioner Haskew,
Yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Romick,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Geringer,
Yes.
Chair Pierce.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Terry Ann. The next action item seeks to revise the authority's records management program. And Terry Ann, this one's all yours.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. This item is being brought to you this evening to amend the current public fiscal year 2020-2021 publicly available pay schedule. In April, the Authority Board adopted Resolution 2005A to adopt the publicly available pay schedule for this fiscal year. In mid-September, the current Executive Director, Randy, announced his retirement in December. While we were all very saddened by the news, we were also very happy for him and his opportunity to retire. On September 30th, a special closed session meeting of the Authority Board was held to discuss the appointment or employment.
Terry Ann, I'm going to interrupt you. Aren't you doing the records retention one?
Touche for the.
Are they switched?
D is the records management program according to the agenda.
Oh, my apologies.
That's okay. I thought maybe I missed something.
Sorry about that. I will switch to that item.
Thank you.
Good evening again. So since 2015, the Authority has been endeavoring to deploy technology solutions aimed at reducing paper usage and promoting electronic alternatives, also known as the Progress on Paperless or the POP goal. In 2015, the Authority adopted a records management program, a records retention schedule, and policies with an intent to venture towards a digital environment and digital storage. We're now here to update that program and adopt a revised records retention schedule and policies to reflect new laws, current practices, and changes that require a trusted document management system to be fully digital. We have made great progress in the past 5 years. We've dropped our paper usage by 88%. We've implemented SharePoint, PrimeGov, eBuilder, Planet Bids, Tyler, PlanGrid, HidLight, DocExpress, BidExpress, NeoGov, NetFile, and other programs to work in a digital cloud-based environment that allows staff to work from anywhere. This made the transition to working remotely smooth when the shelter-in-place orders went into effect earlier this year. But there's one more piece to complete that digital puzzle, and that's a trusted electronic document management system. The first step in that process is to update our records retention schedule and policies. and then review those current records against the newly adopted and current schedule, and then convert the documents to an exact digital image for uploading into a trusted system. This will allow the records to be current, allow better management of their retention life, and ensure that if we receive a Public Records Act request, an audit, or a lawsuit, that we have a more efficient way to search for those files. This also alleviates staff time, provides for better response time, and continues to ensure that we remain an employer of choice. In August and September, we solicited 3 informal proposals from 3 vendors in the field who offered cloud-based systems and were considered trusted systems. They were Laserfiche, Highland, which provides OnBase, and eFile Cabinet, which provides Rubix. All staff were invited to view a demonstration of each software and provide feedback. We're still in the process of procuring a system, and if needed, we will bring it back to the board for approval in the near future. We are considering a software that may only require executive director approval, but are currently working out some issues before final selection. We appreciate local control for each of the regional transportation planning committees and allow for them to govern the conduct of their activities with the concurrence of the authority. Each RTPC has a responsibility to adopt their own records retention schedule and policies if they haven't already done so, and it should be consistent with the authority's policy and schedule. Staff seeks approval of Resolution 2031A, which will establish a revised records management program, including general refinements and updates to reflect current technology, legal requirements, and a revised records retention schedule and policies. That concludes my presentation. I'll take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Terry Ann. Any questions? I think this is absolutely wonderful. So, and even better that we're going to have our RTPCs responsible for doing the same. And I'll be following up on that. I will tell you, as I get ready to retire, I have been going through paper. And I found in our last Transpac meeting that I may have the only documents that were part of our original founding of the organization. So hopefully Transpac has some method that I can scan to that can be searchable and they can have their records back. That would be wonderful. Anyway, questions by the rest of the board, or do I have public comment? I don't see any hands.
No public comment.
I don't see anybody waving at me either. Since we're all co-hosts, you can't really do the little raised hand thing. You have to kind of wave. Okay, so then I need a motion.
Do it. Move
Okay,
it.
Hudson
Second, Haskell.
and Haskew. All right, Terry Ann, please call the roll.
Commissioner Arnrich,
Yes.
Commissioner Butt,
Yes.
Commissioner Glover,
Yes.
Commissioner Haskew,
Yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchoff,
Yes.
Commissioner Romick,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Geringer,
Yes.
Chair Pierce.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thanks, Terry Ann. Now you can go to the amendment to the pay schedule. I'm glad I'm not the only one that gets mixed up.
Sorry about that. Should I start where I left off or from the
Yeah,
beginning?
start where you left off.
Okay, so on September 30th, a special closed session meeting of the authority board was held to discuss the appointment or employment of the authority's executive director position. Action was taken to form a subcommittee of the authority board to hire or appoint an executive director upon Randy's retirement. An independent salary survey was performed of the executive director classification. The subcommittee is recommending that the salary range of the executive director classification be amended so that the minimum monthly salary range is set at 5% above the maximum monthly salary range of the deputy executive director of projects. Staff seeks approval of Resolution 2005A Revision 1, which will amend the publicly available pay schedule for fiscal year 2020-2021 as required by CalPERS to set a revised salary range for the executive director classification. Thank you. I'll take any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Terry Ann or for anyone on the APC? We heard this at our meeting. Do we have any public comment? I don't see anybody waving at me, and
No
I don't
public
see.
comment.
Who said move? Somebody said something.
Sounded like Romick.
I'll move to accept.
Okay.
Second that.
Second, Bob.
Okay, motion by Arnrich, second by Butt. Carrie Ann, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Arnrich,
Yes.
Commissioner Butt,
Yes.
Commissioner Glover,
Yes.
Commissioner Haskew,
Yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Romick,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Geringer,
Yes.
Chair Pierce.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, and unless I've lost my place, we are at the item 11, which would have been a planning committee report. They did not meet, so we don't have anything there. There are no correspondence letters in the packet for item 12. The associated committee reports are in there under item 13. And let me just note, Terry Ann, thank you for indexing the agenda. It is so much easier to manage when I pulled the packet I annotate, it's all there with descriptive titles. It's lovely. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
That
Thank you for the
helps.
feedback.
Ditto.
Yeah, it helps so much rather than scrolling through and stopping to try and figure out where I am. That's just tremendous improvement. So, okay, the subcommittee reports are in there. And now's the time for authority board and staff comments. And I'll kick it off here. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for your support over this last year. I'll come to you in a minute, Dave. And it's been quite a ride over the last 28 years with the authority. And so I want you to know I'm not going far. So somebody needs some of the history, holler off anytime. And I may show up now and then or be lurking on screen just because I need a fix. But I also want to really thank Commissioners Taylor and Romick for their service to the authority. They are both retiring as well from public office right now. And, you know, between the three of us, there's a lot of history going down and a whole lot of East County history. I was thinking about it this afternoon, and I think other than federal, we're the last of the East County BART Extension Committee.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think we're all that's left of those folks who dreamed and schemed and lobbied and everything to try to get that East County BART extension. So yeah. It's sort of the passing of an era. Federal, you're gonna have to carry on for us. So,
Actually, I was on it too. I just didn't know I was supposed to be at the table. I'd be out in the crowd.
well, it goes back a long time, that's for
Long
sure.
time. Yeah.
Anyway, so I would entertain comments from commissioners. Dave?
Yeah, I wanted to make a lot of comments about our chair, but she can't even get through the meeting without asking to come to a meeting in Santa Monica. So we're gonna have to give her a couple of years to detox. But I want to draw your attention to Tom Butt's Zoom picture. I thought it was interesting today that Supervisor Mitchoff and I were at a Bay Area Air Quality Management District to discuss a settlement on some missing files from our Richmond office. And, you know, I don't know if they were labeled Ford building, Tom, but I mean, it does ask some questions. Where in the heck are you? Wouldn't answer
You're
either.
muted, Tom. There you go.
Where am I now? I'm in my house, my home.
Well, you got a lot of files that he thinks may be the missing ones.
Dave's wondering if you're hoarding the missing files from the Air Board.
You'll have to split the settlement with him. But
Okay.
anyway, Julie, we're gonna miss you, but we still got your phone number.
Yes, you do. Yes, you
And
do.
I know you're not gonna miss those ABAG meetings.
That's true. That's true. I might be lurking in the audience though now and then. I might even raise my hand to speak, but 3 minutes is tough. So anyway, other comments from board members? Tom, unmute yourself.
Yeah, well, I want to echo the tribute to both Romick and Taylor. you know, there's a lot of institutional memory going out of government with that. But you know, I particularly want to thank you for all you've done, Julie. You know, I've got selfish motivations in all this. You've got 28 years of institutional memory of regional government, including you know, your service on MTC and ABAG and CCTA. And you know, it's been kind of a crutch to me because I don't worry too much about getting into the nitty gritty because I know I can always ask Julie and she'll tell me what's going on. She'll tell me how to vote. She'll tell me where the politics are. You know, she'll lay it all out for me. And unfortunately now I got to go to work. I got to start doing my homework and digging in. And I'm really gonna miss that. You know, I was just looking up to see how long you've been on the city council, and it's 28 years, right?
Right.
And you know, I'm 25. When I'm termed out, I'll be 27. I'll never catch up with you. And you know, in 2 years, I'm going to have to go cold turkey like this, and I'm going to ask you for advice on how to do it. But you've been a great help to me and a great mentor, and I'm really gonna miss you. I hope you're right that you're not going to disappear. I hope you're going to continue to be accessible.
Well, I want to continue with all my friends too. So you guys have become more than colleagues. You're truly.
Well, when COVID's over, I want to meet you for a drink out of the Clayton Club. Okay.
That sounds good. It sounds like it's going to reopen eventually. So that's a good thing. Any other comment? Newell.
You know, we're all going to come about this in different ways, but we're really going to say the same thing. Julie, Kevin, and Bob Taylor, you all three have incredible memories, but your insightfulness comes from totally different places. And it's been, for me, ever since I've been involved, all of you have been there. Kevin came on a little later, but as Tom did, I learned a lot. I thought I knew something about transportation and I didn't. And I just admire everything all three of you have done, what you've contributed, and the energies that were all put in to help get these measures passed. Measure J took a lot of energy by a lot of people, but you know, Julie, you were there, Amy, a whole bunch, Bob Taylor, everybody, Kevin. We all had stakes in it, and we have done amazing things from the Caldecott Tunnel to all the work in East County and elsewhere. And it made a real difference in people's lives. And these are permanent solutions. And, you know, if maybe COVID's taught us one thing, you know, we've been able to reduce traffic because we can work at home. So some things we wanted to do, we couldn't make happen. A terrible circumstance has pushed us there. But we are going to miss you, Julie. And just your analytical way of looking at things. Bob Taylor, nobody's got better humor than Bob Taylor. That makes dry, sometimes boring stuff a hell of a lot more fun to be around, and ask sometimes the most obvious question that everybody else is afraid to ask. Bob, you always ask it for us. And then we actually go, now I know what's going on. So thank you for that. And Kevin, gosh, you know, helping build a brand new city out there. I remember the very first council and everything when you came into the mayor's conference and became the 19 cities. So well done. Thank you. We are really going to miss you. All the best.
Thank you. Okay, Bob Taylor, and then Federal, and then Kevin, and then Amy.
Okay, well, you know, I want to thank
Karen. And Karen.
Okay.
I definitely want to thank everybody for sending the mayor to school. Every time I came to a meeting at the very beginning, I was corrected by a lady by the name of Julie Pierce. And then I found out that I didn't know anything. And so I learned to be silent for about a year and a half. And then all of a sudden a light shines and you realize everyone on that board is needed and everyone has something to contribute. And then we hired a wonderful director, and we have probably one of the best staffs of any board I've ever sat on. So, and you can't do without all that. What is it? If you build it, they'll come. Well, guess what? Randy, you've been exceptional, and you've helped even build it more than Bob McClary. So I just want to thank the supervisors, everybody on the staff, and but I'm ready to go. It's a big weight came off my shoulders. I might actually do something else in my life. So, but again, thank you to everybody, and I'm not moving. Everybody thinks I'm moving. I'm not moving.
Are your turkeys?
Oh yeah.
That's good to hear, Bob. Federal?
Yeah, I had an opportunity to share some of my thoughts with Julie the other day at the board meeting, in which every board member really were high praised in terms of her ability to work in many different venues, and in particular, her regional approach to how you get things done and partnering with communities that may not have been a part of her district. In particular, when we look at the East County work that's been there, I think I'm the second longest member on the authority next to Julie with 25 years. And I just want to say that it's been a real joy. And certainly the loss of Bob and Kevin is also going to be very instrumental. I think we had just a great partnership in working on a lot of the issues countywide, but a major loss in terms of the East County region. And, you know, I just remember back the long hours and weekends that we worked on EBART and trying to get that addition to the BART system. And so you all are going to be missed. And I just want to thank you all for the support that I've been given down through the years and trying to make sure that we deliver good projects. And so thank you. Thank you all. You will be missed.
Thanks, Federal. Kevin, and then Amy, and then Karen. Anybody else? And then Deborah.
Well, I want to say thank you all for your support and your friendship and the kind words you spoke tonight. Julie, thank you for your mentorship. I thought I was awash in acronyms working in IT, but when I went to my first transplant meeting as a planning commissioner, there was a new set of acronyms, some of them with the same letters that I had to relearn, and Julie provided me with a 28-page list of acronyms and everything they meant, and I've updated that and shared that with people who followed me through this process. Thank you very much for everything, for all your support once again. It's been a lot of fun. This is not the way I wanted it to go, but hey, something else will work on, and something else will come up in life to provide additional challenges as I move forward, and we'll go from there. So once again, thank you all for your friendship.
Thanks, Kevin. Amy?
As they say, thank you, Madam Chair. I really want to echo all the beautiful words that have been said by everyone tonight. You know, we all serve on a lot of boards, and I must say that I think the Contra Costa Transportation Authority Board is one of the most special of all. You know, it is a group of people who care deeply about our entire county, making sure that each resident, whether it's one sub-region or the other, has the best transportation experience and mobility. And, you know, it's fun over the years to have seen the group evolve. You know, people retire, people come on board, and the continuity is phenomenal, and the energy and the talent. that people bring to this board is just incredible, the devotion. And I just, first of all, want to really thank Kevin and Bob Taylor. You know, the two of them have brought so much to, you know, representing East County, and their wisdom and their humor and their steadfastness, you know, the solid, their presence. And I think, you know, I got to tell you, how many of us can tell the world that we served with the turkey. We served with a guy who was, every Thanksgiving, was so devoted to his community that he would be there. Yeah. And I'll never forget being with Bob at one of the annual conferences. I think it was in Long Beach. It was right at the bitter end. You know, I think we all had a 5 o'clock flight back up north, and they did a drawing, and Bob won the car. He won the little electric car, and they let him pick out the color that went with Brentwood. So anyway, I just want to thank you too. And Julie, you know, I'm going to start crying. As you know, we've been partners in crime for a long time, long before I was on the council and working on libraries and then transportation. And I just will miss working with Julie so much, you know. And as Tom Butt said, when you serve with Julie, it's kind of easy because she does all the heavy lifting. She does the hard work. She understands the issues. And now, Julie, what are we doing on this one? Can you help me? And we'd drive into the city in my little sports car, and we were like two birds on a line. But the funny thing too was that these executive directors that call her Amy and me Julie, you know. So I think when I go to the meetings, you're gonna go, well, where's Julie, you know? And I just can't thank you enough, Julie. You have given so much to this county, to all of us. You've mentored all of us. You've supported all of us. You have just been such a great leader of the Transportation Authority. And it's been fun to look back through the photographs and see, you know, all the pictures of all of the transportation groundbreakings and dedications that you have shepherd us through. And I agree. One of your great accomplishments was hiring Randy Iwasaki. We have been so blessed with this fantastic team that is together. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you so very, very much.
Thanks, Amy. Karen and then Deborah.
Thank you. This is about the third goodbye we've done, but this body, I was on a meeting last week where Julie and Dave were on, and some others. First of all, obviously echoing what everyone else has said. You know, you get into public service and you're excited. And at least for me, even though I thought I knew what I was getting into, once you get there, there's just so much more. But I think one of the highlights, other than serving constituents, and I'm even going to put this ahead of it, is serving with individuals such as everyone I see on this Zoom. And that Julie and Kevin and Bob just epitomize everything that I hope I can be. You each have different personalities and talents and skills that you bring. I've learned so much from each of you. I've taken it for granted that I'll see you each week. And then with COVID, you know, we haven't had that personal interaction, and it's just, we're going to have a big party. You know, Julie had a milestone birthday and a milestone anniversary. And I'm sure Kevin and Bob have had some milestones these months that we've been quarantining. So I'm going to look forward to a party and being with all of you, and once again getting to hug each other. We're going to miss you so much. It's good that new people are coming on, because we've all been there where we're the new person and we bring new ideas and thoughts on how we want to have things happen or move forward. But this is just such an important part of my life, serving with all of you. And I know it's not goodbye. It's farewell. And so I'll look forward to seeing you. And I don't know which cowboy it was, but happy trails to you all.
Thanks, Karen. Deborah and then Chris Kelly.
So, well, you know, with losing the four of you, that's a huge wealth of knowledge that we won't have with us in our meetings. But what is interesting is that so much more knowledge is still there, still here. Even as the four of you exit, there's still so many of you on this board that have a tremendous amount of knowledge. And, you know, Julie and Amy are the ones who sort of recruited me into this BART director thing. So yes, I have you to blame. So I will always carry that with me. You know, I very quickly learned, and I nicknamed this group the Cool Kids Club, and that I do often refer to this meeting as the Cool Kids Club, because you are really some of the strongest leaders in this county, and it has just been amazing to me as I sat here for the first 4 years and absorbed all of the knowledge that all of you have. And to think that you have accomplished all of these things as a transportation commission, in addition to most of you sitting on city councils as well. And I didn't have a really good understanding of that until last year when I went to work for the city of Clayton in an interim position. And I got to actually see what goes on inside of a city and work with Julie in her mayor's capacity and other city council members. So it is all, you know, it's just overwhelming to me at how much leadership sits right here on this screen for me now. You know, to Bob and Kevin, I came to know you as a part of this group and had many great conversations at mayor's conferences with you. And I will always remember those, and I hope that there are many more, and I hope you continue to join us there. Randy, I mean, you've just been such an incredible leader for this organization. I mean, I can't say it any better than the others already have. So, you know, I'm just honored to have been allowed into the Cool Kids Club, and now I'm going on my second term, my second 4 years, and I look forward to the growth of many others as we go forward.
Thanks, Deborah, and congratulations to you. That was a remarkable victory.
Thank you.
That was really impressive. So, Chris Kelly?
Yeah, I can only echo what all of my other commissioners here have said. And as one of the newer commissioners on the CCTA board, I will miss you all tremendously. Kevin and Bob, particularly for your humor, and Julie, for all of your knowledge. I remember when you first came to my city council and talked about the housing needs in the arena and all of that, and the connection between housing and transportation, how important that is. And I have to say that, like Tom, I'm really going to have to do a lot more homework now, instead of just relying on your knowledge and your wisdom. You've just been a tremendous force. So all three of you, thank you so very much. And yes, Randy, we're going to miss you as well. There's a lot of work for us to continue to do here and not let things slide. So all of you, thank you very much.
All right, Teresa.
Going last, I can just say, I'm not going to say ditto, but I will say that I'm not going to repeat everything that everyone else has said. Julie, the thing that's very reassuring here is that Julie has promised that she's not going very far. So I know that she will still be there to mentor and guide, especially some of us newer commissioners as we're going forward. And so Bob and Kevin, I've been honored to work with you in a couple of different roles and we'll miss you. But as Supervisor Mitchoff said, this isn't goodbye, it's farewell, and we'll see you in other realms. And so I look forward to doing that and look forward to continuing, as Deborah Allen said, continuing to work with the, I hadn't really thought of it as the Cool Kids, but now that you mention it, that's exactly what it is. And I look forward to working with everyone as we go into the new year as well. And thank you, Kevin, Julie, and Bob. And Randy, I'm going to hold off until next month.
Yeah, I want to make sure there's next month for Randy.
Yeah, Randy's got another month to go, kids.
I got a postscript for you, Julie.
What's that?
I dare you over the next month to go to Novato City Council and speak under public comment.
Well, since I don't have to travel, it's sorely tempting. What's my
That's right.
prize if I did it?
That's an inside joke to a lot of
I was
people.
gonna
who
say,
are
yeah.
on
I might
campus.
actually be welcomed at this point. Who knows how the screw turns, right? Anyway,
Remember the
anybody else?
votes, you definitely would be welcome.
Okay, well, thank you all for that. And we will then go to executive staff comments. Randy?
Thank you. Congratulations, Commissioner Geringer, Commissioner Kelly, Chair and Vice Chair. Look forward to working with you for 26 days. It's gonna be a great
Not that you're
25,
counting, right?
25 days. A lot of work's going on at CCTA still. We're analyzing the funding situation. We're trying to update our policies to keep up with current laws. All those things go on the background. Terry Ann and her team do a great job of making sure all that's updated. Tim's team is doing a fantastic job trying to analyze the funding situation, make sure the projects are getting ready in case if there's a stimulus package. John is working very diligently learning the department, but also he's got to worry about some of the plans that he's working on now to make sure that there's some action items after those plans are finished. So things are progressing very well at the authority. What I want to talk a little bit about is the project Interstate 680. So we opened that lane a year early, and much to the thanks of Ivan and working with the contractor-based cities and their subcontractors and suppliers. But since it's rained, I just thought of this. So the surface or the wearing course on top of Interstate 680 is an open graded asphalt rubber. It gets rid of crumb rubber. It uses crumb rubber in the binder, but it gets rid of tires that would have normally gone into a landfill. And the system is designed, it's porous, and so when it rains, you're not going to see splashing that you normally see coming off the pavement, off the tires of big rigs and things like that, because the water settles into the porous pavement. But the other aspect of that is noise reduction. And so I asked before we paved, WSP took some near field and far field measurements of decibel readings. And afterwards, they went ahead and did some near field and far field measurements. So this is I guess like icing on the cake. But there's a chart here. The biggest decibel reduction for this section of roadway that we worked on is 16 decibels. Now there might be an anomaly there, because when you build a sound wall, to reduce the decibels by about 5. And so on average, those segments that have asphalt rubber are 4.3 decibels lower, and it's a logarithmic curve. So it's just like icing on the cake. And then South Main is one smooth roadway where our contractors paved, and I don't know who paved beyond that, but it's not as smooth. So if we could get that kind of ride on my driveway going to my house, I would really love it. And that noise deadening. So thank you for listening, and congratulations to those of you that are leaving. I think that sometimes it's time to take a break, but staff has enjoyed working with all of you. We love the camaraderie. We innovate because we have a great team that includes our board, and we love you dearly, and you really support staff. And it's crazy some of the things that we do, but it's because we have good partnership. And I mean that, because we're meeting with the city of Bellevue now the second time, and they want to know, how do you do what you do? Resolutions, board support. One board member doesn't like it, staff's not going to do it. And I don't think there's ever been a problem with us coming up and trying new ideas here in Contra Costa County, and that has a lot to do with all of you. So thank you from the bottom of our team's heart, because we get to do some pretty cool things and look at the results. So with that, stand ready to answer any questions that you may have. I think you're all tired, and thank you.
Thanks, Randy. I would just mention that this last week's Engineering News Record for California had a cover story on Randy Iwasaki. And I got the last word.
You did.
In the article. And I borrowed Randy's term. So he's got us well trained, but it's really a good article about why we are different from everyone else and what Randy has brought to this organization. So I highly recommend it. It's posted on CCTA's Facebook page. And I would ask maybe Terry Ann if you could send that in a PDF to everyone, because not everyone is a subscriber to Engineering News Record and can't open the entire article.
I'll do that tomorrow.
Or like me, you've already used your first 6 articles for the month and you have to wait. So anyway.
Rumor is Morton's closing in DC, Randy.
Okay. All right, the calendars are in your packet. And the next item on our agenda is a closed session to discuss the appointment and employment of the executive director to replace Randy, or at least fill that position pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. Terry Ann will has put together a closed session breakout room for the commissioners, legal counsel, and select staff who will be permitted to enter for the duration of the meeting. At the end of the closed session, we will reconvene here in open session to report out on any action taken. So with that, Terry Ann's going to give us the breakout room to go to, and I will see all the commissioners there.
I'm opening the breakout room now.
Thank you all.
I don't have to go in, right?
No.
I'm done. Good job.
Thank
Good
you.
job, Terry.
Jacob, were you supposed to go in?
Good recovery.
Thank you.
That's what you learn. You learn it's not going to go smoothly every single time. Just got to be able to recover and laugh it off.
Yeah.
You did a great job under pressure. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll see you.
Bye. Jacob, were you
Okay, see you later. We were on the patio, by the way, yesterday, but you never showed. It was raining. It was raining like a son of a gun for a while. It was cold.
Okay, we're good to go.
Thank you, Terry Ann. We are now reconvening in open session. We just had a closed session for purposes of discussing the appointment and employment of a new executive director pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. There was no reportable action taken in the closed session. And with that, we are, I see a hand on David's screen. David, do you have a question? No, that's my mouse. On Zoom, it turns into a hand.
I just closed the breakout room because there was 6 people still in there. So everyone's back in now.
Oh, okay. I think we're all here. Okay, very good. So as I said, there was no reportable action taken in closed session. And with that, we are adjourned to our next regular meeting on December 16th, which will be chaired by our new chair, Teresa Geringer. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Good
Thank
night.
you, Julie.
I'll be in the audience for that one.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, all of
Thanksgiving,
you.
everyone. Take care.
Bye, everyone.